So in today's video, we have this 2005 F-150 in for an exterior only detail. And this thing has some issues. So there's a lot of construction here lately, and the customer ran over some sort of, I don't know if it was concrete dust or some sort of industrial gunk on the road, and it basically spread all over his truck. He got the majority off. It's now here to get the rest of it. And it's gonna be in all the cracks and the crevices and the door jams and all of that stuff, and the customer wants all that stuff removed. Now, this thing does have a lot of defects. It's an older truck, lots of scratches and swirls, but we are going to do a one-step polish, or like our paint enhancement. This is really more for amping up the gloss and just making the truck look better. So as we look around the truck, we got a lot of faded trim that we need to repair, especially here. Those portions, not too bad, but we are going to fix that trim, make that look better, because that really does improve the look of the truck. This stuff is just from the rain that we had the past couple of days or this past week, and we're focusing on getting a lot of the junk in the cracks and crevices. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot. The customer has actually been washing it recently, but you can see all in here. He wants all of that cleaned out. And the door jams are the worst, all this splatter in here. So we're using some Koch Chemie Green Star in the big boy sprayer. This is an automatic electric sprayer. This thing is awesome. It doesn't hold a lot of volume, but the fact that you can just press the button and it sprays is awesome. It's not a foamer, it's just a sprayer, but I do have the foaming version as well. So anywhere we see this white residue, that's what we're trying to remove. So we'll let that soak in there and then we'll blast it out with the pressure washer. Now this faded trim, I'm not sure what we can do with it. We'll clean it, scrub it. We might have to use a restore, a trim restore, which I'll show you some of the stuff that we use. Many different options out there. Now for protection, we're going to be using the Vonix Synergy products. They have a sealant for the paint and a sealant for the wheels. And these are a ceramic-based sealant, so they can last anywhere between 6 to 12 months, depending on how you care for the vehicle, of course. But the application is great. I've been using it for the past couple of months, and I want to showcase it in today's video. Now you may notice too, this is something that a lot of these F-150s deal with. I don't know if this is just glue and gunk from inside the handle that eventually comes out, or if these had problems before and then they were glued in like that. But I see that a lot on these F-150s. If anyone knows why you get this stuff, you can't clean it. It's a glue. It just looks really, really bad. But if anyone knows what that is, comment down below. Now, one of the most important things we're going to start with is the pre-wash, or what we call our APC rinse. So to wash and foam, we're going to use Vonix Citron. So this is a high alkaline shampoo, excellent cleaning power. So the front of the engine also got it, but we're going to clean the entire engine bay. And we're using Super Clean diluted 1 to 10 in the IK foamer. Now, could we have just put this in the foam can and just foam down the whole vehicle? Yeah, you could. There's just different methods. Don't put yourself into a box and think of it as rules that you have to do this or have to do that, or you think that doing that is going to be better than this, because it's not. It's simply different methods. So do what you feel comfortable with, what methods you have found to actually work for you. And remember, don't criticize other detailers for their methods, because you just simply don't know their standard operating procedure. They're doing things for a certain reason, and if they see that it's not working for them, they may change. So it's not up to you to tell them to change. I still have people tell me that I should do this or I should do that, I should use the rotary instead of the DA and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever, I thank them for their advice, but I'm gonna continue to do what I do because I've been doing it for a long time and I see results. I may change things just a little if I see the need, but that's only if I see the need. But you see in our videos that we do all sorts of things here. We actually will switch our methods up every once in a while. Why? Because we have the freedom to do so. Sometimes we just have fun trying different things. So the washing and the deconning is now done, but I am gonna go through with some of the Vonix Delete, which is their plastic and rubber cleaner. You saw us use it on the tires, really strong stuff. And a white scrubby pad like this. This is gentle enough to not cause any damage, but still clean really well. And I'm using this over the faded plastics here because I want to clean that. That's basically oxidation, and I'm going to clean it. And it doesn't necessarily remove all of that white. It's going to at least clean the surface really, really well so that we can basically re-dye it and bring this trim back. And this just gets off a lot of that dead plastic on the top surface. Be really careful with the edge, kind of using my fingers as a guide and letting that white scrubby get onto the edge there without touching the paint. And we're going to do the same up here. And this is okay if it gets on the paint because we're rinsing it right away. We'll see when it dries, but that's good. Yeah, you can kind of see that gray coming off on the white scrubby. So good sign. If you're going to be redoing trim like this, that's so faded, and if you're not just putting a dressing on it, of course, you know, have the customer be paying for a service like this. Don't just do this for free, but deep cleaning the plastic like this is going to help with making sure that everything adheres really well to it. So when the plastic dries, it's still faded, but it looks a little bit more even. So that's good. That just means that, you know, top surface is cleaned better. And just for good measure, I want to make sure that I got all the concrete dust here. This is some of the worst areas. So I'm using some CarPro D-Scale. Basically, it's an acidic-based cleaner. Sometimes you can actually use this as a shampoo. You can foam it on, or you can just spray it right on. It's great for emblems as well, getting water spots off of emblems, any type of scaling that you get from hard water. Basically, acidic products like this dissolve minerals, and concrete dust is basically different types of minerals. So this will dissolve that stuff. It actually helps with concrete dust. If you've ever had concrete bits on your vehicle, this can really, really help dissolve them. So I want to make sure that all that stuff in here, this is where I saw it the most, is gone. You could use the wheel brightener as well, but this is formulated for this type of stuff. Wheel brightener is very, very strong. I don't just use it arbitrarily on stuff because it's just a very, very strong acidic-based product. So the truck is pulled in and we're drying it. And as you can see, look at the paint. Ugh, it's really, really bad. This is going to be a gloss enhancement. It was really in here to get rid of that concrete dust that was all in the cracks and crevices and stuff. Again, kind of hard to show because of the light outside. But I believe all of it is gone. We're going to double check. Once everything is all dried and blown dry, then you'll see that concrete dust reemerge if it wasn't completely cleared out. And then we'll go in and make sure that it's all cleaned. But we are going to polish the paint. We're going to restore this trim because it's really bad, along with that trim. The trim here, not as bad. This is rubber trim. We will treat this as well, and this is also like a weird plastic. We'll treat this. The mirrors and the cowl are not as bad as this trim here. But you can see we did remove a lot of the oxidation on it, which is great, so that'll make it easier to restore. And well, this wasn't really in for a headlight restoration job, but I am going to polish over these and brighten them up just to make them look better. But I'm not going to sand them or anything, just going over them with polish. Now, as we look at the paint, look how bad it is. We have cracks and chips, all sorts of stuff going on here. So this is a work truck. It's an 05, remember that. So we're not seeking perfection, and this is not a total restoration or anything like that. We get a lot of these types of vehicles in here, and what we do is make them look better. Not 100% perfect, because the customer doesn't want to put that much money into it, but just enough to improve it and keep it going for another couple of years, aesthetically making it look good. Now, on some jobs, you just never know what the outcome may be. This is turning out way better than expected with very minimal effort. We're using the Vonix polish. This is their V polish. They have a cut, polish, and then a finish. This is their medium grade polish, but it finishes incredibly well. We're using the Rupes yellow pads and just a few light passes, nothing aggressive. And this is the results. From this, or looked like before, you remember what it looked like, to that. Now, mind you, it still has chips. It still has all sorts of weird imperfections in here from either repaints or just who knows what else. But despite that, the gloss is incredible. And it's actually removing pretty much all of the light swirls that are in the paint. The paint to me seems pretty soft. So that's a good thing. We'll actually fly through this pretty quickly and effortlessly and get some pretty awesome results. So polishing is now done. Now check out the paint. It looks incredible, right? Beautiful gloss, despite its imperfections, despite some weirdness going on here, paint maybe thinning or stained or who knows what. Went over this area gently, not too aggressively. The rest of the paint is looking incredible. You saw that we treated this plastic that wasn't that bad with a different type of product. In fact, I used Vonix Shiny, which is also a tire dressing, but it's great for plastics and rubber trim. I brushed it on here pretty heavy, let it soak in as long as possible. Towards the end, I'll wipe it down. And it's okay if it gets on the paint. It wipes off very easily. We use Meguiar's Paint Protect. That's an old product which we still have a little bit of. It was meant for the paint, but it actually does really well on trim as well. Now, as far as this goes, I am going to hit this after everything is sealed, after we seal in the paint. Then I'll go and restore this, because if it gets onto the paint, it's going to have protection on there. It'll be easier to wipe off, because what we're using is actually a trim paint from Shine Supply. So I'm going to try that out first and see how it does. I'll try it on a spot down there. If it does well, then I'll do the whole thing, because with trim like this, sometimes it'll still look a little streaky or blotchy even after you restore it. It's just what it is. It's old trim, and sometimes the best thing to do is either paint it or replace it. Restoring it is a semi-permanent way of at least making it look better. So don't expect perfect results, but have realistic expectations when you're restoring old faded trim like this, because sometimes it just doesn't accept the dressing. You could do heat treatments. That's very risky, but you can do that. I've seen guys do that, but that actually does not prolong the life of the plastic. It actually decreases the life of the plastic, because you're drawing up the oils, and it's actually weakening the plastic from within. So yeah, it might look good at first, but it's actually weakening the plastic. It's not really good to do a heat treatment, but that's kind of a DIY thing. I would never do that for a customer unless they specifically wanted me to and understood the risks. So what we're going to do is apply the Synergy paint from Vonix. This stuff is really nice stuff to use. And it is still kind of hot and humid in here, and this can be applied and then left to sit on there for maybe a minute or so and then wipe off, or even less. And sometimes in the heat and humidity, you need to basically wipe it on, wipe it off. If you do see any residual, like any residue on there that sometimes occurs with these types of products, let it sit on there and don't worry about it. Let it sit on the vehicle until you're all done, and then come back with a clean, dry cloth and level down the rest of it. But whatever you see, a little bit of that smearing will level off eventually within an hour or two. So don't worry about that if you over apply it, which just sometimes happens. So I'm using some really nice microfibers here from Fiber Factory. And I got in touch with these guys. Actually, they got in touch with me. I met them at the Chicago event, the creator event. And I got a big box of towels, all sorts of different towels that we're going through. This is almost like a pearl weave, super fine nap towel. And this is a super fluffy towel. So I'm going to apply with the fine weave towel, and then if I need to use this fluffy towel, I will. Now, I'm the type of person that likes to spray on the towel. Wifey likes to spray on the paint directly. Some products don't like that because you kind of over apply it, but to each their own. I'm going to put 3 mists on here to start. 3. Ooh, this stuff smells nice too. It has a berry scent to it. It's very nice. So I'm going to let that sit on there. It kind of flashes away very quickly. I'll give it like 10 seconds. I see some spots that are higher than others, and I'm going to go back with the fluffy towel. Ooh, very nice. It's very slick. Great application. Again, if you're in high heat and humidity, it may act a little different for you. Or if you're in the a colder climate, then you may want to let it sit a little bit longer to have it flash away. But so far, the application is a breeze. 2 more mists. And I'm going to go larger and larger sections as I get comfortable with this. So apply it, let it sit for 10 seconds or so, at least for me. I'm finding 10 seconds seems to be just about the right amount of time. And then come in with your second towel and wipe any residual away. And anything that you see that might be a little smeary, leave it alone. Don't touch it. Let it sit. That will flash off eventually. This is not going to leave high spots. This is not going to crust up your towels. But after you're done with your towels, just put them in a bucket with maybe some APC or a little bit of soapy water or Dawn or whatever your cleaner is, and just let it soak and then wash them as usual. Now this stuff will get glossier and slicker over time. And as far as a curing rate, I mean, this is only in here for the day, so it's going to go back home today. Ideally 24 hours, but you can let it go within a few hours. Everything's kind of locked in. It's not like a true ceramic coating where you need to wait an extended period of time. In a couple of hours, you're good to go. The truck is done and it's looking incredible. Now we just restored all of the trim with Shine Supply trim paint. I have a separate video where I talk about that. Go check it out up in the card. It may be there or it may be late depending on when the two videos were edited and published. But I go through and show you how we apply that. It's 2 coats on all of that faded plastic. And now look at it. Don't look too close though. It's got imperfections in the plastic already and weirdness because of the way that the plastic faded and did weird stuff that even though I applied it in nice smooth strokes, you get weird patchiness like this. It's actually the plastic underneath it that's damaged. This is a good fix, but remember it's old faded plastic. The best thing to do is just replace it. But you know, you do what you gotta do to make it at least look better. And it does look way better than it did before. So you can coat over this as well, ceramic coat over it. You can use dressings over it. Give it time. The shininess of it will dull down. It will fade over time, and it will look more like regular textured plastic after it's had some time. So I think it's a great add-on to do for jobs like this to make them look way better. Again, charge appropriately. For this job, I included it in the price, so that worked out for us. And I didn't have to do all the trim, just the faded parts, not all of it. So it turned out incredibly well. Again, guys, if you're interested in the Vonnex Synergy paint and wheel, I'll have links down below. And also the V polish. That's what we used on this entire truck to really amp up the gloss and get rid of a lot of those swirls. And what's left is just, you know, defects in the paint. Not much you can do about that. Headlights were also polished. They look a lot better. And all the concrete dust that we could find was worked out of all of those crevices and cracks and everything, and it looks really good. It really wasn't as bad as when I first saw it, and it was, you know, a couple of months. So the more he washed it, the more it washed out of those cracks and crevices, which is good.